Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast.
We are here to break down the latest chapter, 1136.
Oh my god, what a chapter. I don't even know where to start. We're in Elbaph, the crew is feasting, we're getting massive Nika lore, and then
we finally meet them.
We meet the Knights of God, and their introduction is absolutely terrifying. Are you kidding me with that power? This is one of those chapters where the world of One Piece just gets so much bigger and so much more dangerous in a single moment. I feel like we say that every couple of months, but the story just keeps raising the stakes.
It confirms a fear I think many of us have had about who serves the Celestial Dragons directly. This isn't the Navy. This isn't Cypher Pole. This is something else entirely.
Man, if you want to be there with us when we finally see all of these monsters in action, you better make sure our episodes are being beamed directly to your Denden Mushi every week. Don't get left in the dark on this stuff. But okay, let's get into it because we have to start at the beginning with the crew.
We open with a feast, as is tradition when the Straw Hats arrive on a friendly island. It's a moment of respite before the inevitable chaos.
Of course we do. It wouldn't be a Straw Hat landing without a massive party. And Luffy is just inhaling this giant moose leg that Hyrudine brought him. It's so good to see Hyrudine again. And he's just like, I would gladly risk my life for you, Straw Hat. The loyalty, the Grand Fleet is the best. I swear every time we see one of them, my heart just grows 3 sizes. These are Luffy's people through and through.
It's a powerful testament to Luffy's unconscious charisma. He never asked for a fleet, but his actions inspired hundreds of powerful individuals to pledge their lives to his cause. Hyrudine sees him as the future, the man who will achieve what his own giant heroes could not.
And that's what's so cool about Elbaph. It's built on these legends of heroes. Ja Rule, the older giant, explains that most humans only ever see the underworld of Elbaph and flee. They never get to see this, the sun world.
That's such a fascinating concept. The island itself presents a trial. It reminds me of the path to Skypiea. The knock-up stream was a seemingly impossible barrier that filtered out those without the will or the luck to ascend. Elbaph does something similar on a horizontal plane.
That's such a cool concept. Like there's the scary, monster-filled part of the island, and then there's the actual civilization, and you have to be brave enough to get through one to see the other. It's like the island itself is saying, if you can't handle our wilderness, you don't deserve our hospitality. I love that.
It's a fitting theme for Elbaph, the land of warriors, a test at the gates. Only those with courage are worthy of entering the true kingdom.
And while Luffy's eating, the rest of the crew is mingling, and it is just pure gold. Usopp is telling the giants about how he took down Oars on Thriller Bark. He's a legend. They're all gathered around him, eyes wide, hanging on his every word. This is everything he's ever wanted.
It's a profound moment for him. The giants see Oars as this vicious legend, a continent puller from their own history. So of course Usopp's story, even with his embellishments, is making him a hero to them. This isn't just a lie told to Kaya. This is his lived experience amplified through the lens of legend, being accepted by the very people he idolizes. It's the ultimate validation for him.
He's not even lying that much. I mean, he was there. He was sniping from a tower. He helped. Okay, maybe he's making himself sound a little more central to the final punch, but who cares? He's finally living his Elbaph dream. It's happening. And then you have the other giants just amazed by Jinbei's blue skin. He's so patient, explaining they're a fishmen of all different colors.
It's a small moment, but it shows how isolated Elbaph has been. Despite their travels, their cultural understanding is limited. They know of mermaids, but the full spectrum of the fishman race is new to them. It's a reminder of the prejudices and lack of knowledge that fuels so much conflict in the world, like we saw on Fishman Island. Jinbei, having lived through that, handles their innocent curiosity with such grace.
He's the best. Then Sanji gets his moment, of course. The giants want to see a mermaid, and Sanji is just gushing about their beauty, but then he realizes he's surrounded by giant women, and his heart is just exploding. They're all calling him cute. My man is in heaven. I can practically see the hearts popping out of his eyeballs. He doesn't know where to look. It's a sensory overload of giantess beauty.
Brook is also a complete mystery to them, a living skeleton. One of them asks if he's a god of death, and Brook, ever the performer, just launches into a song. I love seeing the crew through the eyes of a new culture. It reminds you how truly strange they are. A rubberman, a talking reindeer, a cyborg, a living skeleton. They are a collection of myths walking among men.
Exactly. And Nami is surprised that most of the giants aren't pirates. She just assumed they were all like Dory and Brogy. It's a nice little subversion of expectations. It makes Elbaph feel more real, you know? It's not just a pirate island, it's a nation.
And while all this is happening, we check in with Zoro and that navigator, Road.
Oh man, this part was wild. So the giant queen, Jerd, and wow, she is just as beautiful and imposing as I'd hoped, forces Road to apologize for being a jerk to Zoro earlier. And it seems that Nami's lightning has changed him.
He seems to have developed a masochistic streak. He's enjoying the apology and the intimidation. He's blushing and sweating as he's groveling. It's deeply unsettling. It's played for laughs, but there's a darkness to it.
Super unsettling. I was cringing, and Zoro just waves it off. He doesn't care about an apology, but then he says the coldest line, the absolute coldest line I've heard him from say in a while. He looks at Road and goes, "If it wasn't for Usopp, you'd be dead."
No hesitation, no anger in his voice, just a statement of fact. And all the giants who overhear it just start laughing at Road for not checking the bounties. They see it as Zoro stating the obvious.
I lost it. That is the most Zoro thing ever. He doesn't make threats, he just tells you what would happen. It's not a boast, it's a weather report. The sky is blue, the sea is salty, and if you threaten my friend, I will end you. That's just how the world works. And even Queen Jerd is like, yeah, if he does it again, you have my permission to kill him.
She is not messing around. This establishes her as a pragmatic and powerful leader. She recognizes the strength of her guests and understands the laws of honor. But Road seems genuinely hurt that she's so cold to him. It's a very strange mix of emotions from him. Fear, excitement, and a pathetic need for approval.
He's such a weirdo. He tries to defend himself, and this is where it gets really interesting. He says he was just trying to follow the dream of Elbaph, to become the sun god and rule the world. And Robin, the look on Luffy's face when he hears that, he stops eating. That's how you know it's serious.
And that one statement just ignites the entire place. The feast grinds to a halt.
The giants just start fighting immediately. It's like a switch was flipped. One giant yells that the sun god isn't a ruler, he's the god of liberation. Another one shouts that he's the god of destruction. And then another one says he's the god of laughter. It's this instant, passionate, violent debate.
They all have a different piece of the puzzle, a different interpretation of the same figure, likely based on which part of the legend their family or clan values most. It's a theological schism happening right at the dinner table.
And what's crazy is that Luffy, he's all three of those things. Liberating countries? Check. Alabasta, Dressrosa, Wano. Causing untold destruction to his enemies? Check. Eni's lobby is a crater because of him. Making everyone laugh? That's literally his Gear 5th power. It's all him.
Exactly. This isn't a contradiction. It's the different facets of Nika. The world government would want people to believe he is only the god of destruction, a chaotic force that needs to be suppressed. The slaves of the past, like the buccaneers, would pray to the god of liberation. And his friends, the people who know him best, would know the god of laughter. It's a perfect encapsulation of his character.
Man, that's such a good point. It's all about perspective. It feels like the story itself is showing us how different people view Luffy. To the world at large, he's a destructive pirate. To the people he saves, he's a savior. And to us, his crew, he's the hilarious hero. And Jarul steps in to give Luffy the context for all this.
He explains that Elbaph has a religious text called the Harley, but no one can properly translate it anymore. The original language is lost, and the runic system is complex. So over the years, all these different interpretations have sprung up based on fragments and oral traditions.
An ancient, untranslatable text. Where have we heard that before? That sounds super familiar.
It has echoes of the poneglyphs, certainly. Knowledge lost to time, or perhaps deliberately obscured. It suggests that there's a singular objective truth about Nika that has been fractured into subjective beliefs. But then, Jarul drops the real bombshell.
I was not ready for this. I had to put my tablet down and just walk around the room for a minute.
According to this text, the world has been destroyed twice in the past, and in both instances, Nika was associated with the event.
Twice? What does that even mean, the world was destroyed? Like a great cleansing, emu style with the mother flame? Or a pole shift, a flood? What are we talking about here? And Nika was there for both? That is insane. Is Nika a title that gets passed down? Is it a cyclical event? My brain is melting.
It reframes everything we thought we knew about the Void Century. What if the Void Century was just the most recent destruction, not the only one? What if history is a cycle of creation and destruction, and Nika is the catalyst for that change? It implies a history far, far older than the 800 years we've been focused on. Perhaps the creation of the Red Line itself was the result of one of these events.
Oh my god, so Nika isn't just this happy-go-lucky god. He's this ancient, world-changing, maybe even world-ending entity. Jarul says that's why the people in power are so terrified of him and try to erase his name. His presence means massive change is coming, a change on a planetary scale. It's not just about overthrowing the government, it's about remaking the world itself.
And you can see the gears turning in Luffy's head. It's a beautiful moment. He remembers Bonnie talking about Nika on Egghead. He hears Jarul's description of Nika. Liberation, destruction, laughter. He realizes that's what everyone calls him when he's in Gear 5th.
He's so close. He has all the pieces, but he just hasn't put together that Nika is his devil fruit. It's classic Luffy. He's feeling it, he's experiencing it, but he's not thinking about the name or the history. He's probably just thinking, oh, neat, that sounds like me.
He's a being of instinct, not intellect. The name is irrelevant to him. The feeling of freedom, the sound of the drums of liberation, that is what is real to him. The history, the prophecy, that is for others to worry about. He just is.
The giants then tell him that everyone in Elbaph grew up idolizing Nika. They all wanted to be him. It's their cultural hero. And then Luffy, with all this information swimming in his head, asks the most dangerous question he could ask right now.
Is Loki a good guy?
And the giants just have a meltdown, a vehement, absolute no. The party atmosphere is completely gone now. It's replaced with this cold, hard anger. And then we get the backstory, and it is so much darker than I thought.
It starts with a prophecy. Loki's father, the former King Harald, prophesies that he would be killed by his own son. This has echoes of Greek and Norse mythology, a common theme in stories of doomed kings.
That's some straight-up Greek tragedy stuff. And right after Loki was born, he killed the family's lucky horse. It's not totally clear how old he was, but either way, that's a bad sign. That's not normal kid stuff. That's like future serial killer stuff.
Very bad sign. The giants also place this in time for us, which is crucial. This all happened the same year that a young Big Mom accidentally killed the giant hero Jarul during her rampage.
Wow, so that year was just a cursed year for Elbaph. They lose their queen, they lose their revered hero, Jarul, natural disasters start happening, and this problem child is born? The whole kingdom was in a state of grief and chaos, and this kid was born into it.
And it gets worse. By the time he was 10, Loki had made the underworld his personal playground, taming the monsters, killing them for sport, and then unleashing them on his own village. Not as an accident, but deliberately. He enjoyed the chaos and fear.
At 10 years old? What is wrong with this kid? He's a psychopath, a genuine Doflamingo-level evil kid. And then the worst part, he fulfilled the prophecy. He killed his own father, King Harald. He didn't just stumble into it, he made it happen.
Jarul's injury, the one we've seen on his face, that massive scar, was from his attempt to stop Loki. He was the king's guard, and he failed. You can feel the weight of that failure on him as he tells the story.
That is just pure evil. He's not just a misunderstood prince. He's a monster. And the giants say all this happened about 6 years ago, and then they dropped the other bomb. My jaw hit the floor again.
The person who stopped Loki's rampage was Shanks.
Are you kidding me? Shanks was here 6 years ago? He came to Elbaph and personally put a stop to this patricidal, monster-taming maniac. Of course he did. Shanks is just going around the New World putting out fires. First he stops Kaido from going to Marineford. Then we learn he was here stopping this psycho. What else has this guy been up to?
It adds another layer to his reputation and his character. He's not just a Yonko who parties and maintains a balance of power. He actively intervenes to protect places and people he cares about. He has a deep connection to Elbaph, which we've suspected since Little Garden. This confirms it. He is a guardian of this island.
And Luffy's face when he hears this, he's just amazed. The respect and awe are just pouring out of him. And then the giants tell him that Shanks was here not too long ago. He just missed him again. Come on.
The eternal chase, it builds the anticipation for their eventual reunion. It has to be meaningful when it finally happens. It can't just be a chance encounter. Every time they almost meet, the stakes get higher.
So after all this insane lore, we cut to Zoro pulling Luffy aside. He can tell something's off. My man, the first mate, always knows. He's the only one who noticed Luffy stopped eating.
He knows Luffy too well. He could see that Luffy wasn't himself during the feast, that the stories were affecting him more than he let on. He's the crew's anchor to reality.
And Luffy spills it. He met Loki when they first landed before the feast, and he made a deal with him.
He's going to free Loki from the chains that are binding him in the underworld, and in exchange, Loki will tell him everything he knows about Shanks, including where to find him.
No way, Luffy, what are you doing? This is an all-time bad idea. Zoro immediately calls it out, saying everything Loki told him must be a lie because literally everyone on the island hates him. He must have twisted the story to make himself seem like a victim.
But Luffy's desire to see Shanks is overriding everything else. It's that powerful of a motivation for him. He isn't thinking about the consequences for Elbaph. He's focused on his personal goal. He even says if Loki is lying, he'll just beat him up.
Which is a very Luffy solution to the problem. If my bad decision has negative consequences, I'll punch the consequences. Zoro's not sure what to believe since he didn't meet Loki himself, so they decide to check it out. They're going to the castle to get the keys for Loki's restraints.
And then Nami joins them, seemingly out of nowhere.
And she has the best reason ever. She says she's there to navigate for them, which makes no sense. They're just going to the castle. But then she turns to Road, who is following them like a puppy.
Her new servant, as she calls him, much to his delight.
And she asks him with this gleam in her eye, hey, would it be okay if all the treasure in the castle just disappeared? I was crying laughing. Zoro's face when he realizes her true motive is priceless. It's this perfect mix of annoyance and begrudging respect.
Nami's priorities are always clear. A national crisis is unfolding, a monster might be unleashed, the fate of a kingdom is in the balance, but there is treasure to be had. Her greed is a force of nature, as reliable as the tides.
She is the best. I love this little side quest team. Luffy the motivated, Zoro the guardian, and Nami the opportunist. And then we cut to the underworld. The mood shifts on a dime.
We see the two hooded figures again, the ones we glimpsed a few chapters back, and they find Loki, chained to a massive tree.
And we get the reveal. They throw back their hoods and they are members of the Knights of God, the Holy Knights.
The Holy Knights of the world government. I have to assume these are the same Holy Knights Dragon warned us about back in Kamabaka Kingdom, the ones who supposedly rank even higher than the Marine Fleet Admirals.
They're here in Elbaph, and they're trying to recruit Loki. What is happening? My theory was they were just bodyguards for Emu, but they're out in the field, on a Yonko's territory, trying to recruit a known psychopath.
This is a major revelation. The Holy Knights aren't just bodyguards. They're actively seeking out powerful, chaotic individuals to join their ranks. It suggests they're building an army of unique and dangerous talents, perhaps for the final war.
Loki's response is perfect, though. He just tells them he's not going to waste his life being garbage for the world nobles. He hates them too. He laughs in their faces.
He's an equal opportunity agent of chaos. He doesn't serve anyone. His goal is destruction for its own sake, not for any political cause.
The female knight, we learn her name is Gunko, is not having it. She says all their other agents disappeared after reporting a giant crow, probably one of the monsters Loki controls, and now that she's seen Loki in person, she thinks he's insolent and should just be killed.
Her partner seems more level-headed, telling her not to be hasty. He understands the power they're dealing with and likely has orders to recruit, not just eliminate.
And then Loki proves it. He summons this enormous, terrifying wolf to attack them, just commands it to eat them. This thing is the size of a house, all fangs and shadow.
But what happens next is what truly shows us the level we're dealing with. This isn't CP9. This isn't even an admiral.
That's insane. Gunko doesn't even flinch. She just unravels her own clothes, like they're made of bandages or something, and they become these long, flowing ribbons of fabric. She uses them to wrap around the giant wolf's neck and just lift it off the ground, choking it out, effortlessly. The wolf is struggling, clawing at the air, and she's just holding it there with one hand, looking bored.
It seems like it has to be a devil fruit, right? Maybe a paramecia that lets her manipulate the properties of her clothing, making it as strong as steel cable. It's an incredible display of power and control. She subdued a monster that would be a threat to an entire village in seconds without breaking a sweat.
Super. That was the defining moment in this whole sequence for me. The sheer, casual power. This is what the top of the world government has at its disposal. No wonder Dragon is worried. These guys are on another level.
She taunts Loki, asking if he'll reconsider if she spares his pet.
And Loki's response is maybe the most chilling thing in the whole chapter. He just looks at his dying wolf, this creature that's clearly loyal to him, and tells it to die in peace. He says he'll be sad and angry, but he won't quibble about its death. No plea, no bargain.
And then he says the line that defines his character. I will channel those negative emotions to destroy the world.
Bro, this guy, he's not a villain you can reason with. He's not trying to achieve a goal. He literally just wants to watch the world burn. And he will use any tragedy, any pain, even the pain of losing something he seems to care about as fuel for that fire. He's a nihilism engine.
He is a force of pure entropy. He stands in stark opposition to Luffy, who uses his emotions of anger and sadness to protect and liberate. Loki uses his to destroy. He and Nika are two sides of the same world-changing coin, creation and destruction, and Luffy is about to set him free.
That's a scary thought. Okay, we have to get to predictions. What a chapter to end on. Robin, you go first.
All right, my first prediction is that the keys to Loki's restraints are not literal physical keys. I think it will be a trial or a riddle located in the castle, something that can only be solved by a true warrior of the sun. It will be a test of character or strength designed by the ancient giants to ensure only a worthy individual could ever free Loki. It will be a test for Luffy, whether he knows it or not.
Ooh, I like that. A classic adventure trope, like pulling the sword from the stone. Okay, my first one, when Luffy, Zoro, and Nami get to the castle, they are not going to find keys. They're going to find a member of the Red Hair Pirates. Maybe not Shanks himself, but somebody like Lucky Roo or Usopp who was left behind to keep an eye on things. Shanks knew Luffy was coming, and he left a guard. And that's how we'll get the confrontation about Loki, a Red Hair Pirate telling Luffy, you can't do this.
An interesting possibility. That would force a confrontation of ideals before the actual reunion. For my second prediction, we will get a flashback to Shanks stopping Loki 6 years ago. It won't just be a cool fight scene. It will reveal something fundamental about Shanks' own goals or his connection to the Nika prophecy. I believe Shanks stopped Loki not just to save Elbaph, but because Loki's nihilistic destruction is the antithesis of the new dawn that Shanks is betting on Luffy to bring. This flashback will show us a piece of Shanks' true purpose.
I need to see that flashback. I need to see Shanks in serious action. Okay, my second one, the other Holy Knight, Gunko's male partner, will reveal his power, and it will be something that directly counters Loki's ability to control animals. Maybe he has a Zoan taming hockey or a devil fruit that can nullify commands or turn animals to his side. Something that shows the Holy Knights came specifically prepared for Loki's unique skill set. They don't just have raw power, they have intel and strategy.
A strategic counter. That makes sense for an organization like that. They would not go in blind. My final prediction is about the untranslatable text, the Harley. I believe it's not a written language in a traditional sense. The reason it can be interpreted in so many ways, liberation, destruction, laughter, is because it's a song or a rhythm passed down through generations. A melody can evoke different emotions in different people, and because of that, Brook is going to be the one who ultimately helps decipher its true meaning. His soul music will connect with the ancient song of Nika.
Whoa, the Soul King deciphers the soul of Elbaph's history? That is a super theory. I love that. Okay, my last one, and it's a simple one, but I need it to happen. While Luffy's team is off on their mission to potentially doom the world, we're gonna get a moment I've been waiting for back at the feast. Dory and Brogy are finally going to arrive having heard the commotion, and we'll get the full, tearful, glorious reunion with God Usopp, and they're going to be so proud of the great warrior he's become.
It's long overdue. An emotional payoff is definitely on the table to balance out the tension of the Loki plot.
All right, that's all the time we have for this week. What an incredible setup for the rest of Elbaph. Lore, new villains, old friends, and a terrible decision by our captain. It's got everything.
The pieces are moving very, very quickly now. The final saga is truly upon us. We'll see you all next time.